This is The Alternative Kind, bringing you the best of the alternative Greek music scene. I'm speaking with George Lignos, who these days is based in Brisbane. George Lignos, keyboardist, multi-instrumentalist. I remember you played trumpet as well. Engineer, producer, touring musician. Is there anything that I have missed?
Let me think. To be honest, Chris, I tend to be a philosopher on my free time. And also, I used to play the flute back in the days when I used to be in the primary school.
Not anymore?
Oh, no, thank God, not anymore.
Okay. It has been 6 years since we last spoke. So it's not the first time we're speaking, but it's been a while since we last spoke.
Our last chat was back in 2013. I was located in Athens, and we had the interview regards the release of the Revolution album with DangerAngel. Since then, there have been some significant changes in my life, and now I live in Brisbane since 2017. And if the current situation wasn't that fucked as it is now with COVID virus, I was planning to be in Greece, having my Greek summer holidays. But here I am in my studio, isolating myself as everybody else.
Yeah, I was hoping to be there in August as well. I can't even go 30 kilometers away. I'm stuck in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I hear you. And in Victoria is bad, hey.
It's pretty bad at the moment. But let's go on to, more pleasant topics. Yes. 6 years since the last time we spoke. These days you are based in Brisbane. You were living in Brisbane when you were younger, if my memory serves me correctly.
Not really, Chris. I used to visit Mum's family side here in Brisbane with my family as a kid during our Greek summer holidays. So that's why I had not any significant issues trying to adapt myself here.
Still a big decision, though. What made you decide to base yourself in Brisbane?
Well, there were more than one reasons, actually, that made me step my foot in Brisbane. First and foremost, the reason was my family. Yeah, and at least at that time, we thought that this was the best move for us to move here and provide to our kids a bilingual education future. And from my point of view, to discover and evolve even more into something new, music-wise, if you know what I'm saying. So that was the key factor for me, if you want.
Very nice. Now, yes, I suppose the next question to ask you, I discovered your music through the band DangerAngel.
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
Now, I guess the question is, now that you are based in Brisbane, what is the status of the band DangerAngel?
We can say that we are on postpone. Yeah, I think we are on postpone. That our singer BJ, he's from Brazil. Hey, so that thing by itself was making the band difficult to move, but at the same time flexible. So this type of scenario is not new to us at all. Still, the band is ready to fire if needed, and we already have enough songs ready to go if the time allows it. So the distance is not that big in our equation. Time and money is our enemy, Chris.
Understandable. Okay. So what else are you currently working on? From what I can see, you've set up your studio. We can see it in the background, ParaFonik Studios.
Yeah.
In Brisbane.
That's my grandpa, Tom, over there. Hello, Tom. And this is my way to remind myself every time that I'm stepping my foot in here that all this is happening because of him and his decision to immigrate in Australia back in the mid-40s. So I'm here almost 3 years now, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to launch the ParaFonik studio in January, early this year. At the moment, I'm working with Venus Envy, which is a punk rock / alternative band. And I have just finished the mix for their first single that will hit your speakers later this month or the next one. And that's a wonderful thing, because at the same time I'm working with a punk rock band and also with a country singer that gives me room to play with different toys. And that's what I like about this job, that every single project, come on, for God's sake, has its unique character, and that keeps my curiosity in a very high level, and makes me want to come every day in the office to work. And from the other side, I'm also lecturing at the JMC Academy here in Brisbane.
How did that happen?
I was attending a mixing masterclass with Andrew Sheps, which, by the way, is one of my favorite producers and mixing engineers out there, with a tremendous credit list. And it happened to take place at JMC. So as I was socializing with my colleagues over there, we started talking about where I'm coming from, my music background, talking nerdy stuff about gear and so on. And they got my details, and we linked on social media. And 2 weeks later, I got a job interview invitation.
Well, let's talk about then your band that you're currently involved with and that you're currently recording with, Venus Envy.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that you completed, the final mixes for the first single, and you've got some, other tunes in the works. When can we expect to hear the first single, and when can we expect to hear roughly the rest of the tunes?
Well, as I said, Chris, with all this COVID crisis that is happening out there, everything is so liquid. I can't be certain about the exact day of the release, but it will be something like later on this month or the next one. Hopefully, who knows? Nobody knows, right? But in the meantime, we're working on some new songs. We're working on the lyrics, the music, arrangements. We looking and we try to find the right distortion pedal. Try to find the right break. We're rehearsing a lot here in the studio, and we make sure that we're keeping ourselves busy and ready to go, because once the lockdown and the restrictions will be lifted, then we're going to go back in the studio to record the remaining songs. The way I like to track this band is live in the studio. And what that means is that keeping social distance while you're tracking is almost impossible. It's not unusual to me during tracking to stop the process, or go in and talk with the guys, or change a lead, move a microphone, and this most of the times requires to crawl underneath the drummer or behind the bass player, and so on. You get the idea. So recording sessions in a room with a group of people, at least the way I like to do it, it's hard under these circumstances. So that's why we have to wait a little bit more. And once we are cleared and we have the green light to proceed, we're going to be ready to go. And the way I like to record is more like the old-fashioned way. For me, while I'm working with a band, it's crucial to be able to understand and capture the sound of each member. So when I'm working on the bass sound, for example, I make sure that I'm hearing the bass player and not just a good bass sound. With this, most of the processing and the sounds committed on the way in. So this takes more time to prepare it, but for me, the sound, the color, and the texture is part of the recording as well. I tend to produce most of the sounds while tracking rather in the mixing process. Yeah.
So why do you prefer the old school method? What is it about the old school method as opposed to, because many people actually also like the new method. They think that, it's cost effective. I can still get the sounds I want to. What is it about the old method that you prefer?
Okay. So let me explain what I mean with the old way. Obviously, you're going to get what you're going to pay for, right? And I learned that the hard way. So there is no old a new way. There is only one, the right one. You have to take the call and find out which one is the best for the project that you're working on. the way that we record something hasn't changed. You still have to have a source. Then you have to amplify it, and then you have to store it in a medium in order to reproduce it later. So that's the basic flow of a recording. With time passing and technology's development, we are capable to do things that we couldn't back in the older days. So, but still, the way in is the same. Now we use computers most of the times. Before that, tape, and before that, wax cylinders. So you have to know each instrument's sound, the specific features that this instrument could have, or how to place the microphone, or how to choose the right room, etc. So there are plenty of factors that you have to go through before even press the record button. I like to produce a project accordingly, without me trying to limit myself with boxes like analog, digital, tape, sampler rate, profile amps versus real cabinets, and so on. For me, a real producer has to be able to make a record sound good and at the same time interesting, with whatever gear has at his disposal at any given time. That means if you are in Africa, for example, in the middle of nowhere with just one power supply, you only have a 157 and an old rusty PV console to work with, you have to figure out and make it happen. And from the other hand, I can record, mix, and master anything on my iPhone. So as you can see, is the process that will make it different, and the experience that you're gonna get out of it. That's why I prefer to have cables and boxes to play with instead of touch screens with TikTok enabled. So if I need to have a super digital clean sound, I will go for it. But I have the skills and I know the technology and what I have to do with it, and how I'm going to work on that, because you have to approach every medium different. Is a different way to record on a computer, for example, and a different way to record on tape. So personally, I prefer the more organic sounds, but at the same time, I like and I want to stay modern and fresh. The old way also goes down to the tracking. Yeah, I love the interaction between the musicians and the vibe that you can get out of them. It's like conducting an orchestra. It's a living organism. The beauty comes out of the random instances of chaotic butterfly effect, or from the way that the bass player responded on that out of the blue fill on the drums. Things like that, they happen all the time in the studio. The ability to be in the same room and talk with the whole band is priceless. In contrast with recording in the box with individuals, and by itself this makes the sound different. Different, no bad. Right. Different is not bad, and bad is not different, if that makes any sense. Nothing compares to a coherent sounding band, and that's the thinking behind that. When this is not possible, you have to figure it out and you have to address it differently. So yeah, you have to know your craft and you have to be ready to go at any given time.
You're also working with other artists, so obviously you have a studio. So what can you tell us about some of the other projects that you have going at the moment?
So even that the studio is very fresh, and considering the current circumstances that we're living in, the studio is getting busier. So that's a good thing. At the moment, my stronger ties are with Jade Holland, with which I'm involved on the vocal production, as this is a collaboration with other producers from Nashville. And we working on 2 new songs that are based and focused on more like a country pop sound, if you want. And I'm also working with SJ, which is a Brisbane-based talented artist / producer himself. And his music is more into the electronic dance R&B genre. We recently released a new song called Tell Me Something. Also, we're working on new stuff too. And from the other side of the world, I'm working with David Papanagis, which is a Greek pop artist. And we were working together when I was back in Greece, and we're still working together now. We have developed a friendship over the years, which is a very nice thing to have with people that you're working with. even when you are 50,000 k's away. What else? I'm also helping with the production of the Greek community radio shows on 4EB radio station, and with the bulletin production of the National Ethnic and Multicultural Broadcasters Council, NEMBC. And when I have some time between, I'm also getting people in the studio for a voiceover here and then, or for a jingle, as I'm working on the sound design field as well. And I'm taking online job offers from all around the globe.
The independent music scene in Greece just keeps getting better and better from what I can see. So why do you think the music scene has taken off so much in Greece in the last few years?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. I believe that the reason is that music is more affordable than it used to be, and more accessible. You have access besides the fact that nowadays you can buy a cheaper instrument. The internet by itself has led the information to a new level. So things that before were impossible to find out without traveling around, now actually you have access to almost everything from your phone screen. And of course, this includes rubbish too. So you have to be very careful about it. But in general, that's a good thing for music to have, if you know what I'm saying. I remember my piano teacher, Christos Mastrogiannidis. He used to record me a cassette at every lesson. That was my only access to blues, jazz, rock music, besides to the limited radio programs. Obviously, I'm not talking about Greek folk music, as I never was interested in this. So you have bands that they are touring, and musicians or engineers that they travel outside the local boundaries, and this is helping to create a new music scene. At the same time, the majority of people don't care about it. Still on the radio or on the telly, you're not going to find something interesting to listen to, with very few exemptions, at least for my standards. And you have to explore the underground scene by yourself. So what else? Let me think. I think with the crisis, people also went back to smaller venues and pubs, and they had to adapt to the new standards that came up. And this gave a step for more musicians with a smaller impact to go out and play. So that thing created a new music scene in Athens.
What are some bands that you're currently excited about, whether they be from Greece or whether it be currently in Brisbane, that you've seen, that you've learned about since your time that you have moved to Brisbane? Who are you kind of excited about and listening to at the moment?
Oh man, Chris, that's a hard one. I mean, it's very hard to put them in my memory now. So let's start with the Greek ones. It's hard. I have to break it down to different style of music, Greek or English verse. Has to do. There are so many factors. We're talking about traditional or old music, Greek music. Pop, rock. There are so many bands, but let's say. Bands like Planet of Zeus, Ξύλινα Σπαθιά, Τρύπες, Κίτρινα Ποδήλατα, Διάφανα Κρίνα, De Facto, Menda, Magic the Spell, and the Lechia. All this 90s rock movement, I was into it, and I was really listening to that kind of music when I was younger. Bands like Aphrodite's Child, with Vangelis and Demis Roussos. I'm still amazed by this type of music. Bands like Firewind, with international appearance out there. 649, Ble, Onirama, Melis, all this. Most of them. But bands like Blame Kandinsky, more into like a different, more heavy punk, heavy stuff. What else? Music like Mamba LT, Fivos Delivorias. What else? Rena Morphy has another. If you are into the more like a retro, old traditional music, Ble. Marina Sati, Stereo Nova, Locomondo, and the Lechia. Artists like, even Manolis Chiotis makes me makes my hair to go up every time that I'm listening to a solo or a melody that he has played. And yeah, I mean, that's and the list can goes on. And I have actually to sit down and take a big effort to try to name all the bands and that I like, or or the artists that I'm listening to, and I know a lot of them, and that makes it even more difficult. But yeah, you get the idea. There are so many bands I respect out there. And probably I forgot the most of them. Sorry, guys, forgive me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's all good.
Regards Australian music, I'm happy that I moved to the land of AC/DC, right? I mean, what's better than this? I mean, it's another thing to be a rock dude in Greece, which your natural environment is surrounded by Greek music and bouzouki, and another thing to be a rock guy here. Whatever station I switch on, probably is gonna be something that I'm gonna like more or less. So if not by accident, I land myself on a Chinese program. Yeah, I knew some Aussie bands before I came here, but to learn and understand the music culture with what people like to listen to. Or what the bands were playing at the pub was something that Michael Jeeves from Venus Envy gave it to me. I think it played a huge role to grab the pulse of the local scene. So Michael was educating me every night at the gig. So learning new songs to play and seeing the crowd's response helped me to get faster. So that was an amazing school for me, and I have learned so many new bands, and I've listened to a lot of music that I can honestly say that I appreciate and I love Aussie music. So bands like, of course, AC/DC, Tame Impala, Jet, Circles, Wolf Mother, In Excess, Empire of the Sun, Dead Electro Circus, Crowded House, were bands that I already knew. And from the other side, new bands like Powderfinger, Cold Chisel, and Jimmy Barnes. I mean, what a voice! Bands also like Ice House, Midnight Oil. Of course, singers and artists like Kylie Minogue, Nick Cave, Gautier. I knew already these singers, and but also I learned some singers that I didn't know, like Guy Sebastian. I mean, that guy's voice, I don't know where it's coming from. And of course, The Voice, the TV program helped me a lot to listen even more to what's happening in the local scene. And also legends like Daryl Braithwaite, with that song Horses. Every time we play that song at the gig, the roof is on fire. I mean, the people whatever they might doing, they stop it and they sing the song with us. So it's one hell of experience by itself. And not only that, I had the opportunity to see the original live. So I was privileged enough, and I had the joy to open up with Venus Envy for one of his shows early this year. And being in the same venue with him, with all these mates that they have like 30 or 40 years of rock history on their shoulders. It was an amazing experience again for me to learn from them how they play music, how they approaching every single chord, how they actually making the sound come out from the speakers. And being part of a bigger production is always something that I really like to be in, and I'm very grateful for that, because through the years with music I've been in amazing places. I have traveled around the world. I've played music with amazing musicians and have shared the stage with so many people. And all these memories are so important for me, and definitely I'm not gonna take them for granted. So I'm very grateful that I'm having all this amazing experience so far in my life.
Interesting. When you're as a producer, as a musician yourself, me personally, I play just a little bit of music. I know some things, and sometimes I think to myself, I hear a song and I think to myself, oh, interesting guitar part, or I wonder if they had tried it like that. So for somebody like yourself, who's such a proficient kind of producer, is it ever difficult to disconnect yourself and just hear a song or hear a recording and just enjoy it? Or are you always analyzing?
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm always analyzing no matter what, Chris. That's a problem with me. Oh, man. Well, it comes down to which mode I'm switched on. Music is like oxygen. You get too much and you get too high. Not enough and you're gonna die. So yes, I enjoy myself listening to music as much as I can. So when I'm into the mode of listening, usually it's me on my own time, and I try to eliminate the distractions as much as this is possible, right? And if I'm switched on a critical listening mode, I'm looking for all these little ear candies for everything, actually, and anything that can be interesting to my ears at a certain time. Especially when I'm in my studio here, and I'm listening through my speakers in my room with my mixing headphones. Then I'm on a working mode. So actually, it's the same thing. It's like the same thing, like you asking a movie director, how he likes to watch his movies, from an audience perspective or from the creator's perspective. And when I want to go even deeper, it's the same thing. If you want to ask a drummer. Is he listening to from the drummer's perspective or from the audience perspective? And then you have to go there in an argument about where that hi-hat is going to be on the mix.
We've covered a lot of ground. What does the future hold for George Lignos, aside from ParaFonik Studios, aside from the production side of things and the new bands and those kinds of things? What do you hope to achieve in the next, 10 years or something?
I want to be a better me version. In all aspects, as a person, as a father, as a husband, as an artist, producer, as a friend, as a teacher, you name it. I want to improve myself. I want just to, allow the time to make me wiser, and I want to learn more and more. And what else? Yeah, in the next 10 years, I have to include more music of mine that I didn't have time and the sources to do before.
Does that mean we can expect a George Lignos solo recording, solo release?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, Chris. It has to wait a little bit more because, that I've been here only for 3 years, and it's a hell of a ride for me, and, I have to sort out some other things first. But in general, that's my personal desire, if you like. And it's not going to be an easy one because, there is music from future pop, synth music to heavy metal and classical, atmospheric, ambience, cinematic, rock. I have progressive ideas. So there is a big mess on my mind and inside my brain that I have to sort it out. I already have unfinished projects that they're waiting for me to, to open them and do something with them. Music that I had recorded before I come here. So I have unfinished business with myself, with my friends up there in Greece. But hopefully everything is going to be in time, and, every little thing has to be in the right time. So, that's on the back side of my mind, and hopefully going to come in front. You gave me 10 years, right? So I hope that the next 10 years I'll be able to do it.
Nice. Thank you very much. Έγινε.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ.